Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the Long in the Boot podcast, the podcast coming to you from the heel of the boot of Southwest Louisiana. Man, hey, the red button's on. I'm being joined, by the way, this week for a hodgepodge potpourri kind of episode, joined by Habz. How you doing, Habz?
Ooh, man. Fun time to be alive.
Hadn't been back together since the last hurricane. Was that Delta? I think
it was one of the early Greeks.
Yeah, it was a Greek hurricane, and you know, so there you go. But anyway, he's back in the studio, and we have just stuff to talk about, and including the possibility there's a hurricane that may be in the Gulf again. Every time we get together, spawns a hurricane. I don't know what it is.
This was doing one of those unprecedented, sharper than 90-degree turns back towards the Gulf.
Serpentine.
It's getting after it.
Hey, if you'd like to send anything to me, it's longintheboot@gmail.com. You can also call at 337-502-9011. I know things have been kind of weird with the podcast lately because we have no real schedule, or I tried to do Wednesdays, but hurricanes keep screwing that up, and loss of internet and loss of power, and then, well, loss of internet and loss of power. Hopefully that's done. We've had the grid rebuilt twice.
Should be pretty solid now.
By the way, everybody in Louisiana will be getting additions to their electric bill soon. For that, there's going to be a disaster surcharge or something they're going to add to all the bills, from what I understand.
Of course, I would hate for them to lose any money.
I hear a little tiny bit of feedback or noise. Let's just call it noise. And we're going to do that right there. There we go. And I'll cut that out in post.
Nice.
Maybe. I don't know. You know, it sounds more real if I don't cut it out in post.
You got to have a couple of flubs.
Oh, I flubbed bad last week. I still can't get over that.
A couple of flubbies.
I almost flubbed this morning.
You tried to.
I did. I almost missed the good thing you were looking at that button. It's not red. Now it's red, so we know we're getting recorded. Man, what you been up to?
Oh man, it's we've been doing a lot. You know, school's limping along. We're still doing our thing there. It's been pretty endless election talk you hear from the kids, and I'm talking like junior high kids freaking out. I've had elementary kids like on a bus. One of them looked at me kind of like with a glare. You voting for Trump? And I was like, what are you going to do if I don't? I mean, this little girl was threatening. And we're just, I don't know, whatever. It's little cleanup stuff.
It's pretty bad when you got kindergartners going, Trump train.
Oh,
Trump
yeah.
train.
They're passionate. They're passionate folks.
They just reflecting the home situation. It was an exciting election. I didn't even know if we'd have a president by the time we got together.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting it. I was figuring maybe Thanksgiving-ish.
Yeah.
I figured we'd have something unofficial, which, you know, according to a lot of people in the area, it's unofficial anyways, because you still have some pending litigation going on. That
litigation is not going to go anywhere, though.
I doubt it. Some of it's already been sent back, you know.
Yeah, and once the electoral college meets, it's done.
And that's what, another month from now? It's usually in early mid-December.
Yeah, like December 8th maybe, or something.
12th, something like that.
This year, it might be the 8th. Hey, if it's the 8th, that's the anniversary of the killing of John Lennon. Just thought I'd point that out.
Oh, wow.
Don't ask me why I know that. It's really bizarre. Happened on a Monday.
It happens.
And here's how I learned about John Lennon being shot. I was watching Monday Night Football, and all of a sudden, Howard Cosell breaks in.
Oh, no.
It's like, well, they're doing the game. I think it was Green Bay, if I recall. But they're doing the game, and all of a sudden goes, oh, a tragic news story. And then somebody cuts in, you know, his color guy cuts in and goes, he's taking the ball to the first. He's got a first down, and Howard's doing at the same time over him. A sad news story coming out of New York. John Lennon has been shot. And then they go right back to the game. I was like, I'm watching, and I'm like, what? what?
Did I just hear that?
And sure enough, and it was, yeah, there you go. And so Howard Cosell gave me that news. I could have got it from somebody better, I think.
That was almost like the Cronkite JFK moment right there.
It would have been
a
weird.
big moment in history.
Yeah.
Howard Cosell giving you the John Lennon story.
All right, the Green Bay Packers, it's 2nd and 8-0 in Dallas. Kennedy has been shot, and Metcalf takes the ball up.
Just gloss over. No, not a big deal.
No biggie.
What's another assassination? Who cares?
Hey, we've made it this far without an assassination since. There was an attempt. Reagan,
Reagan got shot pretty solidly.
Well, that shooting does go to show you that a higher caliber is really the way you want to go. Yeah. If you're going to, attempt to.
Yeah, the only small caliber successful one was Lincoln, and that was pretty dang point blank. That's pretty hard to get point blank behind a president.
Not to mention really soft lead. So I'm sure, it turned into like a. Did you see that? Did you see all that weirdness about the picture they've got? Have you seen that picture of Lincoln that may or may not be his death picture?
Oh, yeah.
And they're arguing about it because if it is the death picture, it's worth, ungodly amounts of money.
Yeah.
But it might be a fake and nobody really knows for sure. And so they're arguing over it, whoever those people are, trying to figure that out. And
I don't know how they're going to prove anything definitively.
Well, they're trying to say that he has a lump in the picture behind his eye that they can see. And
that's the bullet.
Yeah. So who knows? And,
they say it lodged behind his eye, but how are you going to see a lump from within the skull behind the eye? It's not like it was in his temple.
Well, and what's the picture do? Why is it valuable? It's not like it's going to change anything.
Yeah.
Holy crap, he really is dead.
Yeah. Ooh, I think it was fairly well confirmed.
Yeah, I think it was. And again, always remember in the words of Mary Todd Lincoln and the guy that was talking to her said, yeah, but other than that, Ms. Lincoln, how was the play?
Too soon.
Too soon.
Too soon.
Oh my God. So yeah, we had the hurricane. A lot of people got water this time. People that didn't get water in their houses for Laura managed to get lots of water in their houses for Delta.
Yeah, even if it wasn't like flooding, the wind was still strong enough to shove all that stuff in your door because it rained a lot more than Laura did. Laura was fairly dry.
It was, and Delta really caused people some serious problems. So of course the armies of adjusters had to come back. Yeah, from wherever they come from.
They just
fall
out of the
woods. Release the army of the adjusters. And that's what I probably did look like that. It's like zombies coming back to Louisiana. A lot of them probably like, I don't want to go back. It was hot and there were mosquitoes.
Yeah.
And they were big as houses.
Oh yeah. And they were sweating, carrying around ladders and yeah.
Oh yeah. I had one come the other day because Delta flexed our house and put some little cracks in that nasty popcorn ceiling and nothing leaking or anything. But you could tell he really didn't want to come over here. It's like some way he was trying to figure out something,
Just send me a picture. Can we just call it a day?
Well, he did it. He did it, though. He sucked it up and came over here. And first thing he talked about, which proof that he doesn't have real experience dealing with the public, is he started talking about the election.
No.
He brought up politics immediately.
Don't do that. That's like one of those rules. You don't just do that for sure.
And he was clearly, and he was clearly from up north. His accent was, I'd say, Ohio, Pennsylvania, somewhere up in there. And they sent him down here. They put him in a hotel in Opelousas.
Oh, Lord.
That's what I said. Exactly. My words. I went, oh, Lord, they put you there?
Nice.
If you go 20 or 30 miles in any direction, you'll be 100 times safer.
Pretty much.
Oh, my goodness. So, yeah, the hurricanes, I think we're done with hurricanes, I hope. Again, if that one that's spinning around out there by Cuba right now comes this way, well, then clearly we were just being punished for something.
Yeah.
Some transgression.
The Lord doth not like the Gulf Coast. Especially the Southwest, the heel of the boot. Yeah.
The heel of the boot has been tragically trashed and still a long way to go to get it back up. And apparently COVID numbers are going back up as well.
Yeah, but nobody cares anymore.
It's really kind of bizarre. I blame the government and health authorities for making that happen to where people didn't care. But I also started really examining some numbers. And here's the thing. Everything I studied said that 50% of people who are tested positive have very few or no symptoms. Well, then doesn't that mean there's a lot of people walking around with it that just don't go get tested?
Yeah, probably. And I'm not going to go get tested unless someone calls me and says, hey, somebody near you has had it in an extreme case.
Well, that's what I mean. Tested. So if that's the case, then how do you stop a virus where a large percentage of people don't even know they have it?
Yeah, I don't know. This is like Typhoid Mary, but everywhere.
Yeah. It's kind of weird. And so, yeah, nobody really cares. Well, they do care. I think they care. Well, you certainly care when it's somebody in your family who gets really, really sick, or if you lose a loved one.
But even that I've seen doesn't last long.
No, it doesn't. And
depending on how strong of a, I don't know, I'm trying to think of the right word here. I'm trying to walk my tightrope. How strong of an opponent of any of the mitigation measures you are.
And speaking of mitigation measures, do we have more mitigation measures on the way? We don't know.
We do not know. But apparently, we're going to have all kind of stuff happen immediately on January 20th. It's all going to magically, like instantly, just get really, really bad.
Well, we'll talk about that in just 1 second. In fact, might as well just jump into it. I guess the election, in case you were asleep and missed it, was this past Tuesday. As far as I am to understand, prior to the election, it was the most important election of our life.
Yes.
Just so important.
Yeah, I didn't hear that in 08 or 16 or 12 or 2000 or 04.
And
yes, we did. Yes, we did.
And I'm sure I won't hear it again in 2024.
Probably not. Oh, yeah, we probably will.
Wouldn't it be great if they did this? Like, well, election coming up. No,
whatever. Go vote. Don't vote. Who cares?
Nobody cares. Just do whatever.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
It's the most important election of our life. And, of course, we didn't have any results for the presidential election until, was it yesterday?
Yesterday is when the MSM broke the news.
M5M.
M5M.
The mainstream media. I got problems with them, by the way. Yeah, they announced. I guess they said Pennsylvania did it.
Yep.
So
Pennsylvania got called. Some of them still don't have Arizona called. Fox News called Arizona like the day after the election.
Right.
And that lost them a lot of viewers from the red states. Like, they called it for.
Well, I don't know why.
Joe.
I don't know why Arizona going to Biden would be much of a surprise, considering people are fleeing California in droves.
Yeah.
And it just makes sense that you're going to. A lot of Californians don't want to go that far from California. Arizona seems like a good place. Nevada too, for that matter.
Yeah, but we don't like to think of election blocks changing. We think of it's all the same. Well, it went red in this year. Well, it's not that year.
It's not that year. And Biden apparently has received, and this news headline still kind of boggles me a little bit. He received more votes than any person in history. Well, on the one hand, we got more people.
We do have more people. And you know what? We might have more votes than anyone in history next time too. It's a pretty steady upward trend.
Well, I do know for sure, without question, Biden had more votes than Abraham Lincoln did.
For sure.
So,
Way more. For sure in the South.
For sure. Yeah, the South pretty solidly went for Trump. Pretty solidly.
Yeah. I think Louisiana, what were we?
Georgia is a question, but Georgia, again, it's the cities. It's Atlanta. Take Atlanta out of Georgia, and Georgia is 100% Republican, it seems like.
Yeah, I've got some in-laws over there that they're a little nervous.
Are they?
Oh, yeah.
Well,
because at first they were red, and they're like, oh, yeah, thank goodness. And you see the meme circulating around now. A lot of people very proud to be from Louisiana, because I'm telling you, within the hour of the polls closing, Louisiana's red. Boom.
Yeah, I was.
I think we were like 65% roundabouts, and this parish was 85 or 86%.
Yeah. Like 7 people voted for Biden in this parish.
Yeah, there was not a lot. Biden and Kanye were almost even.
I came so close to voting for Kanye. I got to be honest. I did.
It's a memorable.
Well, it's not
vote.
It's not him. It's the name of the party.
Right? You did that right.
The birthday party.
The birthday party.
Ah, man. I didn't expect to see him on the Louisiana ballot. I really didn't. I didn't know he'd be there.
Yeah, because he only made it on to, what was it, 12 states or something like that. He only made it on. Well, I don't know what the rules are for that. I know what the requirements are to be president, age, and natural born, whatever.
Congratulations, Kanye.
Yeah, he got some votes. I don't know what is required, because I know a lot of kids. When I was mentioning Kanye, and they're like, well, you should run and you should get your name on the ballot in 24. I said, nobody will vote for me. And they were like, I will.
Oh,
I'm like, wow.
One.
All right. We don't need to do that.
Woo.
I'll get to see what is required. And you know what? If it doesn't cost me too much money, who knows? Maybe I'll be on the ballot in Louisiana.
Well, we're heading towards the future. If people get what they want, there's so many people right now trying to get rid of the Electoral College, because I still think that a lot of people don't get why we have one.
Yeah.
Even though we've tried to teach that
They think it's
in
there
history
to cheat.
class.
It's there to cheat.
Yeah, and you got people go, it should be a popular vote. The popular vote should decide. But we don't have one election. We have 50 different elections to decide one issue.
Yeah.
And
you
in
need
fact,
something national to.
and for that matter, if you went just solely based off the popular vote nationally, well, California would dictate who was president pretty much every time.
Every time.
4 million votes went to Biden. 4 million in California.
That's a lot. What was the margin of this one? I think it was almost. Well, I think it was over 4 million, but not by much.
If only I had a way to find out.
Look it up on the interwebs.
Consult the book of knowledge.
4 million votes is more than what Hillary won by.
Let's see. Biden got 75 million and Donald Trump got 70,800,000. So it's only about a
4 and a little bit.
Yeah,
4 and some change.
And so yeah, I mean California, 4 million votes. It does. It makes all the difference in the world. And even Donald Trump, 70 million. I mean 50%, 50.6 to 47.7. And I'm kind of curious. Joe Jorgensen, though, hey, how about that Libertarian Party? 1.2%. That's actually the second highest they've ever had.
That specific party?
Yes, the Libertarian Party. That is the third party. So all these other parties, like the Green Party and the Constitution Party and the Birthday Party,
they should merge.
They should all merge. Libertarian Party. She didn't get any electoral votes, unfortunately. I would like to have seen her get one.
When's the last time we had an electoral vote go to a third party? Was that Teddy?
I think it was. No, I think it might have been. I think Ross.
Did Perot get one?
I think he did.
I know Perot made a big stank, but I don't know if he ended up getting any electoral votes.
Well, he helped. He made Clinton. It made
it a lot easier for him to be. Yeah, for sure.
Now, in this case, she didn't. The Libertarian wing, they didn't take votes away from Trump this time. Usually, Libertarians are disaffected Republicans. A lot of disaffected Republicans. I don't think there was a lot of that this time. I do think a lot of Republicans that might have voted for Trump previously didn't this time.
Yeah.
And that's bearing out. But at the same time, a lot of people who didn't vote for Trump the first time did this time. When they break down the demographics of who voted for who, Trump picked up an amazing number of African-American men, and the Hispanic vote in areas, especially in Florida.
Like Florida. Florida's a big one for him.
And what they're really coming down to is if people have memory of their family in socialist countries,
like Cuba,
Venezuela, and there's a couple others.
Yeah, that word socialist is not just a buzzword to them.
No, they've seen what socialism is, and they've seen it real socialism.
Even the threat, if you accuse the other guy of being a socialist, they're not going to take that lightly.
Right. And I've seen a lot of people already talk about, well, I guess we're going to be a socialist country now. Well, no. First of all, get your facts straight.
We don't know what it is.
We're a quasi-socialist country now.
We've been for a while.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't want to be a socialist at all, any way, shape, or form, go tear up your Social Security card and get private insurance for when you're old, because guess what?
We're socialist. Social Security.
Yeah. I mean, am I saying there couldn't be a better system than Social Security? No, there might be. In fact, there could have been. The money we all pay into Social Security certainly could have made a lot more money in the stock market.
For sure.
Over the last 20 years. But, Trump was good for business for a lot of people. I know a lot of people whose 401ks gained incredible amounts of money over the last 4 years.
Yeah.
But at the same time, not everybody has a 401k. So, young people clearly went for Biden more nationally. And really, when we talk about this, we're going to leave Louisiana out because we pretty much know how Louisiana was going to go from the beginning.
Yeah, we're pretty solid. Unless you get a strong Southern candidate that's a Democrat, but it's like Clinton, I think, was the last one that made us blue.
Right. And so that's the odds of that happening again, I think, are pretty slim, at least in the near term. It may change. Who knows?
A lot of things can change in 4 years. Who knows?
But Biden is most likely going to be the president. And if you're going to post, I've seen now 3 people, I'm keeping count, 3 of Biden, not my president, being posted on somebody's page.
As of right now, you're right.
You're correct. He's not yet. But just like with Donald Trump and people in the other side saying, he's not my president. Notice I always do that voice for liberals. I don't know why.
That's just what they sound like.
So, yeah, he's your president. Whether you accept it or not is irrelevant. It is.
That's sort of how the system works.
Yeah.
You might not like it, but we have an unwritten agreement. That's how it's going to work.
Yeah. And I don't, here's my thing for all the people who are going, yay, Joe Biden won. Nothing much is going to change. Not really. Nothing major. You think it will.
Especially if the Reds hold the Reds, that sounds bad. The Republicans hold the Senate. That's going to slow a lot of stuff down, even for slow Joe.
Even if it's a tie in the Senate and you say, well, Kamala Harris can break the tie. Yeah, it doesn't matter. No legislation will move.
No, yeah.
It'll just be shot down. So Biden has to cross aisles to be able to make anything happen legislatively. But most likely what he'll do is what Donald Trump did and what Obama did, which is use executive action to make things happen. They're already talking about the first thing Biden's going to do is undo everything Trump did with executive action.
Yeah, that's the bad thing about those things.
They don't work. They're useless.
They're pretty easy to toss once somebody else is in there. Now, laws, that, if you can actually get legislation going through, it's a lot harder to do, so it's a lot harder to undo.
Yeah. And that's the thing. We live in a republic, and by the way, it's not a democracy. It's a republic. Don't you love explaining that all the time?
I do. It is democracy. Well, not really.
It's a federal republic.
It is a federal republic.
And so if you don't know what federalism is, then look that up and then look up what republic and then kind of mash them together. And that's what we got.
But I don't like homework. I just want to listen to a podcast.
I listen to a lot of podcasts lately. It's more entertaining than the mainstream media. Who wants to listen to those guys?
Yeah, this is the side stream.
Speaking of mainstream media, when they announced who the president would be, there's a guy on CNN. Now, first of all, I don't think it's any secret to anybody at all. I know it's no secret to us that the mainstream media was pretty much all in for Joe Biden. There's no question. Yeah. Even though they're the people that built Donald Trump and programmed him, and then released him into the wild, they were really behind Joe Biden.
It was like a Frankenstein story. What have I done?
Yeah. And look, he's oh no, he's caught some. He threw that little girl.
She's down the well.
Anyway, so this is on CNN when they announced that Joe Biden had won. They have a guy there by the name of Van Jones, and if you don't know who he is, he's just one of their journalists. I'd say journalists loosely. I think he's more of an editorialist. But he had a lot invested in this election, apparently. And his reaction when he was being talked to by who's the guy with the white hair?
I don't remember that guy's name.
I don't either. Cooper.
Oh, Anderson Cooper?
Yeah, Anderson Cooper. Comically known by many, many podcasts for some reason as Anderson Pooper.
Pooper.
I don't know why.
That's mature.
I know. That's very mature. Anyway, this is his reaction. Yeah, okay. I'll just let it play.
Van, what are your thoughts? It's well, it's easier to be a parent this morning. It's easier to be a dad. It's easier to tell your kids character matters. It matters. Telling the truth matters. Being a good person matters. And it's easier for a whole lot of people. If you're Muslim in this country, you don't have to worry if the president doesn't want you here. If you're an immigrant, you don't have to worry if the president's going to be happier to have babies snatched away or send dreamers back for no reason.
Oh, it really got to me, Brian. Oh, wow. Fact check false.
Fact checker. That's false.
Listen to that dog. Hey.
Quiet, numbskulls. I'm broadcasting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was great. I just love it. There's more.
Lots more.
He went on forever. And, but I've seen a lot of people. I saw people dancing in the street yesterday. It was like a party.
Yeah, it looked like
in New York.
Day.
Yeah, but some people said, I saw somebody actually said, this is the most important day in American history. I'm like,
they don't know a lot about most days in American history, I don't think.
There's a lot of days in American history. in total. And many of those days, I'm going to go ahead and just say it right here. More important.
But that's his whole thing. It's like on both sides. This is one of the most emotional elections that has ever existed. And that's what I was talking to my kids about.
Why?
I don't know. It's like both sides are just like crazy passionate. And a lot of it is just because of how emotional the campaign was, or, like Trump. He's got his way of doing things, which is very different than the way that almost anyone else does stuff. And he stirs up this emotion, either a crazy pride or oh my God, this dude is deplorable, from either side. Like he's that wedge.
And I'm seeing it. I have friends, that they were so, first of all, they absolutely knew Trump was going to win. There's no question. I was like, I don't know, man. It's going to be really close.
It depends on what polls you were looking at, or if you were just looking at how many different, what candidate had flags on people's trucks. If you're going by a flag count, then yes.
If you're talking about the vote in the United States, though, we haven't had a vote that's been more than 5 points apart in ages.
It's been a long time.
The country.
It was Reagan's first one, I think, was like 60.
Yeah, he had the biggest margin, I think, in history.
Yeah, and that's it.
But the country has been divided this way for a long time. But now the division is, there's no room for like crossover.
No, it's personal.
Yeah, it's become personal. If you say, you support Biden, you support Trump, then the opposite will just go, you're crazy. What are you, socialist? You're a Nazi. The liberals throw out the racism word constantly. Everybody,
very, very constantly.
It's like, no, come on, stop it. You're watering down the meaning.
Yeah.
Not everything is about racism.
Yeah. The more you throw that sort of stuff around, the less it's actually going to have an impact.
I heard somebody the other day. It was like, well, Trump, he's a racist. I said, okay, tell me what he's done over the years that makes you think he's a racist. Well, it's because of what he said about that protest in Virginia. Well, what did he say? And then they never get it right. They always have that one little quote. Well, there were good people on both sides, and there were Nazis on that one side. That's not what he said.
Did he say the Nazis were good people?
No, he did not. And if you listen to the entirety of what he said, it's far different. What he was trying to say is both sides have their points, and he wasn't talking about Nazism. He was talking about the historic statue or the removal thereof. Now, if you say, well, Donald Trump's a racist because he doesn't want the statue to leave, well, then that becomes opinion.
Yeah.
That's not showing me that he's racist. If you look at his history as a property owner in New York, not very racist. He put a lot of minority businesses to work in New York City over the years. So he brought in, and you're going to say he's racist, but now are we going to say he's an anti-Semite too? Because that's going to be hard to call since his son-in-law is, Jewish.
Yeah.
And I guess his daughter by default is too now. Right?
Yeah. And it's not like he's like, okay, you can be in my family, but you got to stay in the basement. It didn't work like that. No, he's got a pretty prominent spot.
No,
within the empire, the Neo-Camelot.
Yeah, it's really bizarre. I don't know why people get so invested in all this, because I got to be honest. First of all, since I'm now in my late 50s, yeah, I know, very late 50s, knocking on the door of 60. I'm going to be dead in 20 or 30 years, I assume.
Or you could be president in 20 or 30 years. I mean, we're setting that precedent.
Oh, no. Well, no. First, I've got to be more doddering, and I need to be able to slur my words more, although I'm getting better at that.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know. What else can I do? I can't grow hair. That's something.
We've never had a bald president.
We've never had a bald president.
Not a totally bald president. You could be the next step in civil rights.
Well, no, I think Biden's there. He's pretty much bald, right?
Not really. He's got that white. He's got a pretty solid little white.
Did he get a little? He's got a little bit of fuzz.
Yeah, he's good. Yeah, he's not bald.
Oh man, we need a bald president.
Make it happen.
A bald president.
Eisenhower was fairly bald.
See, I think
he was mostly bald, if not all the way bald.
I think he had a little comb over going on. Right?
His bangs were on the back of his head.
Or would he say it was a buzz cut?
Probably buzz cut. He's military.
That's right. But you can't have a bald president. I think Kennedy shot that completely. You
don't say Kennedy and don't say shot. You can't do that. Too soon. That's two assassination jokes, folks.
Two. All right. Mark that down. Actually, speaking of Biden, I'm going to make a prediction. I'm going to put it in my book of predictions. Within 2 years, Biden will have to step down and the 25th Amendment will be enacted. And Kamala Harris or Kamala, or whatever her name is, will be the first female president of the United States. And they'll all, go, woo, big, most important day of our lives in history.
Asterisk.
And but it's coming because, brain tumors do come back. And, he's got a record.
That's a pretty common prediction. I think.
Oh yeah. I think it's solid. I think it's a good, solid prediction.
I don't know. I'm not as confident as most. I think he might try to coast this whole thing out. Now, whether or not the Pelosi's and that whole bunch will let him, I don't know.
Oh,
they might end up. It about.
Another prediction, much closer. I predict the Democrats are going to get rid of Pelosi as Speaker of the House.
She is in her 80s now, isn't she?
At least. Look, if the rumors are true that occasionally older women lie about their age, she could be 160.
She might be. She's really Harriet Tubman. We don't know.
She looks fabulous for her age.
Better than I'm going to look when I'm that age.
Yeah, her neck gives it away. Her hands are the problem. Hands always give it away.
Yes, they're like the picture of Dorian Gray.
But yeah, I think she's done. I think they're going to say because the House lost Democratic seats, which should tell you something about the country as well. Personally, I like gridlock. I hope we don't have a situation where all the branches of government are all the same.
No,
I don't like that.
Then there's no debate. There's no discourse, in which that is why we like our way. But it's gone away to where you don't have that debate anymore.
Right.
It's just a fight.
Now it's just a fight. Nobody crosses over.
Doesn't matter what the other one says. It could be the most universally approvable thing in the world, but like, oh, Democrat did it, I ain't doing it. Or, oh no, Republicans did it, I'm not doing it.
And what's bad is both sides are afraid to look weak to the people that elect them.
Exactly.
But our country, and I know you are the same way on this, without compromise, there would be no United States of America.
No, nothing we've ever done would have worked. You got to be able to give something.
Yeah, and now some of the compromises we did to become a nation, a couple of them are kind of sketchy. The whole slavery issue, for one. Counting people as 3/5 of a people.
Yeah, that's like almost meeting in the middle exactly.
You're 3/5 of a person. Am I? Yes, 3/5 of a person
legally speaking, for the purposes of population counting,
to give the South extra votes.
We.
But the great compromise that created our legislature, we had to have that.
Well, yeah, because you can't just have big state domination. You can't just have individual little state domination, because in the big state, we're like, man, I've got more at stake than you do.
Brings us right back around to that electoral college thing, doesn't it?
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, that's nice. That's nice. That's how you do it. This is prime time stuff here.
And so, yeah, that's so all the people now, and I guess now it'll be the Republicans that are going to complain about it's their turn to complain about the electoral college,
yes,
right?
Yes. It's their pendulum swing's turn.
Yes. And we're gonna be stuck there for a while. I was looking at the numbers here for Georgia. 99% reporting 16 electoral votes in Georgia. Listen to these numbers. Biden, 2,465,500. Trump, 2,455,000. So 10,000 votes in the state.
And when you're talking about a state as populous as Georgia, this is that's a squeaker.
And so that tells you how the power. Oh, it tells you the power of Atlanta. That's what it does.
Yeah.
But if you look at all the states, as I'm looking down the list, it's like very few states. Well, first of all, in every state, pretty much the first number of votes is the same for both candidates. So if one got 2 million something, the other got 2 million something, or 3 million and 3 million. Iowa, this is one of those weird ones. Iowa, only 1.5 million people voted. But Iowa went for Trump big time, and I would have thought maybe that would have been closer. But then you get right there next to Iowa, Minnesota. Went to Biden pretty effectively.
Yeah,
and in Michigan is what it looked like Trump was going to take Michigan, and now of course Biden has taken Michigan. That's one of the states where they're saying
that's one of the
cheating.
They're calling foul. But, I mean, that's again, just like with the socialism buzzwords, the more someone cries about being cheated, the less anyone believes that the cheating actually happened.
Yep.
You know,
That's right.
when both sides, and that's, you know, you heard this in 2016 too. You hear it from the Dems, and then you hear it from the reps. They're freaking out about being cheated every time, and so now it's like anytime there's actually an accusation, you have the other side's like, oh my God, seriously, just stop.
Yeah, can you stop?
Just stop.
Please.
I guess those are, I don't know if those are the people in the middle.
That's how I play
They're telling
Monopoly.
both sides to stop.
When I play Monopoly, that's what I do. You're cheating. You're cheating. You didn't have Park Place. When did you get Park Place?
Yeah, you stole that card.
You stole that property.
It got mailed to you late after the deadline.
Well, you know, with all the complaining about mail-in balloting and everything else, eventually what's going to happen, they're going to go, we should just have internet voting. Yeah, that'll fix it.
Yeah, you can't hack that.
Yeah, nobody could hack internet voting.
Probably more secure to do mail-in voting than online. But they did. I think they had some places that do online voting.
Yeah, they do. And really, I don't know. It's kind of weird. You know, you think about elections in the past where they didn't even have, you know, telephones yet. Mail was traveled by horse.
Yeah.
And they somehow could figure out who was president pretty quick.
But look at those numbers.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, ooh, a landslide. You won by 500 votes out of 1,000 or whatever. You know, there's nobody voting. Well, for one, they wouldn't let most people vote.
Right. Most states had rules.
Two, that turnout, it was difficult to go to a polling place.
Sure.
And it's now, I mean, you know, look at cities. You know, they probably got polling places everywhere, but who's more likely to have a big fat daddy crowd at the polling place?
Yeah.
People out in the sticks or people in the cities?
Yeah,
so it's
that's true.
kind of not that surprising whenever they made it a much easier option to do mail-in voting that mostly it was city people. And traditionally, city people go blue.
Well, it's the Amazon effect, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, look, cities had stores. They were everywhere, but who
So much easier to sit at your house.
hey, who gave the power to? Oh yeah, and look, you can order. Look, we got a new vehicle for my wife, and what I've discovered is apparently Jeep stands for just empty every pocket,
Oh, yeah.
and because they're like toys, you can add all kinds of cool bells and whistles to them.
Yeah.
And but you can order all that from Amazon.
Yes. You can pimp your ride with no pants on.
Yes,
That's the American way.
it's crazy. I don't even have to get in my car.
That's lovely.
And I suppose that's kind of what's happening with elections. Eventually, we'll Amazon all elections.
It's so much easier than having to go out there and, you know, depending on your state, you have to take your wallet out. You got to take out your driver's license and show it to somebody. So 5 really, really old people can look at a binder and see if it's actually you.
Yeah, but I get to say hi to a couple of those old people.
And you're like, hey, how you doing? Hi.
I hadn't seen you.
Oh,
in a
I
while.
know you. You're a Habz. You're supposed to be in this line.
Well,
Okay,
I noticed
thank you.
the other thing I noticed is there was a big sign out front that said, "You must wear a mask to come in this place to cast your ballot."
I didn't see that sign at my place.
And nobody, not one person.
Most of the people at my polling place had a mask on. I
Did
had
they
one in
really?
my pocket. Just like, okay, if there's people in here who are nervous, I will put the mask on. If I see everybody else, you know, not wearing one, I don't want them to, because, you know, at this point, you know, if you're wearing a mask walking in a polling place in Southwest Louisiana, you may as well have a Biden T-shirt on, you know. So I didn't want someone to come punch me thinking, use a Biden. I didn't want.
You know, I hadn't thought about that, but you're absolutely right.
It's true. So I had it in there. I was like, okay, let's see what sort of crowd I'm working with. I don't want them to assume too much, and I don't want to make old people uncomfortable if they're
Right.
wearing masks and worried about the COVID.
Yeah, and speaking of COVID locally, wasn't there some couple cases here recently? Just like
I've got at least 1 or 2 in most of my classes that are going to be medically quarantined until almost Thanksgiving.
and is it because they have it or because they were in contact with somebody that
So
had it?
far, I know that the ground zero was one person who does not go to the school, but there was somebody at our school that went on a trip with that person.
Okay.
They tested positive.
Got it.
I don't think they're symptomatic yet, but now you got to, you know, all classes now we have to have seating charts and we have to turn those into the office whenever something like this arises. So
Right.
you can pick the people who are sitting around that person in each of their classes and their quarantine.
Okay.
This is not the first time this has happened this year. I had one class, I had lost 9 kids for about a week.
No way.
Oh yeah, it was significant, and it was of all of them. It was one of my college credit classes.
Of course.
You know, the ones who actually want to be at school. The other ones, they're probably like, "Oh, I'm symptomatic. Go give me a test so I can go fishing." But yeah,
Wow.
So it's happened a few times.
Okay.
and that's causing its own rigmarole. I've heard people say we should get rid of all that and just trust in Jesus. I'm like, okay, well. You know, I'm not that against you on one, but I mean, I don't think you can make it school policy that, all right, if you're sick, just go to school anyway and trust in Jesus. I don't know if that's going to be the effective way to do it, but
That's a good policy.
why not?
Yeah.
It's always worked in the past.
He cured people.
Yeah.
So there you go. Actually, I've got a real issue with the test thing. I've been listening to enough people, and I'm not going to get into the whole, well, you're not an expert. No, I'm not an expert. But there's a thing going on. The inventor of the test, the PCR test or PRC test, I can never remember if it's PCR or PRC. Doesn't matter. People's Republic of China or People's China Republic. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
The Kung Flu. Anyway, so that test is an amplifier. It's not really a test. What they do is they take your genetic material and they amplify it. And they do this through cycles. And the cycles are done through heating and cooling rapidly over and over again. And the inventor of the test, who invented it to detect HIV back in the 80s to try to slow down the HIV pandemic, as they were calling it at that time, which it wasn't. But in order to do that, he himself said it's not a test. It's an indicator. He goes, but if it's done wrong, you can get positives for anything.
Yeah.
And the number of cycles is what determines the possibility of having too many positives. And he said that the cycles generally, if you're looking for a specific virus, 25 to 30 cycles should be the cutoff, 30. But they're sending out packets with these tests and they're saying 45 cycles. And this is done by a lab technician. He just punches in the numbers.
Yeah.
Punches in the buttons. So you do 45 cycles. Well, it amplifies not just the COVID SARS-2 virus, but it will amplify any coronavirus you may have floating around in your system. And almost everybody has some measure of corona in their system because we all get exposed to it during cold and flu season.
Yeah.
And so a lot of these positive tests may be people who, that's why we have the asymptomatic problem. We've got people who are carrying a little bit of this virus. It's not enough to spread. It's not enough to make them sick. But if you amplify it enough,
It'll show up.
It'll show up as a positive. So then we say, oh, that's it. You're positive. You've got it. You're like, well, I'm not even sick. And so it's a real weird thing. They're about to start putting out some new tests, and I'm curious to see if the number of positives go down when the new tests come out.
Are those going to be the same ones where you got to shove a Q-tip into your brain?
No, it's a saliva test, and they're looking. Or I mean, no, it's a blood. Wait a minute, make myself chuckle. It's a finger prick test. Finger prick. Anyway, it's finger test. So you got to bleed, and they're going to test for antibodies. So they're looking to see if you've had a reaction or if you.
And that will be a lot more specific.
Yeah, and then the other problem I have with the test is just because you test somebody, let's say you test somebody and they're negative, doesn't mean they don't have it.
That's right.
Means the next day they could.
Yeah.
So you've got to test them every single day.
Yeah.
And
I don't know. It's a very invasive test from what I've never actually been tested.
You haven't had it? Oh,
I have not had the pleasure.
Yeah, they just they stick a swab up your nose and scratch your brain with it. And
that's not bad. Your foot starts kicking off to the side because they're
actually
nerves.
It makes me think of that noise they used to make in Three Stooges movies. That's what it does. It makes you do that. It actually forces you to do that because it goes so far back. It wasn't that big a deal though because it's fast, and they came back. I mean, that part of it's fast. It still took
the results.
The results still took.
It's like an election in Nevada.
Exactly. And they come back and they say, nope, you don't have it. Or at least you didn't at that specific moment on that specific day.
You might have it right now.
You could.
You might have had it 2 weeks ago.
And so I think the testing thing is, they're like, we must do more testing. Well, we
need to do better testing, not more.
Yeah, we need more testing rules or something, some way to kind of funnel this all together.
Yeah.
But that's the problem with the whole COVID thing. We've got so many people saying so many different things and changing their mind. I mean, even Anthony Fauci said there were problems with the test back in March, the PRC test, because of the cycle issue. And if you actually say that on Facebook or Twitter, they will get rid of that. You can have Fauci saying it in a video, and you will get a thing that says, this has been fact-checked false by our fact-checking, truth-checking. He said it. I didn't say it just because I posted it.
Yeah.
He said it, and he's the expert. No, I'm sorry. Sorry.
So what's the rationale behind that? You think because it's going to spread, like people are going to look at that headline, they're going to say, oh, nothing matters. I'm going to go cough on everyone I know.
Correct.
Yeah.
Even at my favorite Hispanic restaurant, Latino restaurant.
Isn't it just Mexican if that's the specific type of restaurant? I don't know if PC goes into a restaurant, because it usually says it on the sign of the restaurant.
Well, I know it says
a
Mexican restaurant, but I mean, is all that food Mexican? Really?
Tex-Mex.
I mean, okay, let's say you take Mexican food and you throw some plantains on it. Doesn't it become Cuban food?
It does.
So
way more of a certain type of rice dish.
El Dorado, my favorite place in Lake Charles for this particular type of food. You may disagree, but I don't care. You're wrong. Anyway, they don't have booths anymore. They got rid of all their booths.
I love those. My favorite thing about the place was their abundance of booths.
Yep.
Booths?
Booths.
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 Anyway, they got rid of all of them, and now it's all tables.
Well, that's lame.
I was sad, but it made the place look huge.
I bet, because they're cumbersome, these big booths.
Yeah.
But I used to enjoy like lounging with my big pile of nachos.
Yeah.
That was great.
Oh yeah. And your bathtub of margarita.
Yeah.
They make some,
it's like a bird bath.
It's a serious margarita. Yes. They make good margaritas there. And the lovely Deborah, she likes her margaritas there.
I like my margaritas anywhere I can get them.
Even though she got a new vehicle yesterday, guess who drove home from that restaurant? It wasn't her. That's right. Don't tell her I said she was drinking though, or don't tell anyone. Okay?
We don't do that.
Keep it a secret. Oh my goodness. Let's see. Oh, wait. You know what? Do you hear it? It's the sound of crying. No. Oh no. Who could it be?
This is vindication for a lot of people who have really suffered. You know, the I can't breathe. You know, that wasn't just George Floyd. That was a lot of people that felt that they couldn't breathe. Every day you're waking up and you're getting these tweets and you just don't know. And you're going to the store and people who have been afraid to show their racism are getting nastier and nastier to you. And you're worried about your kids and you're worried about your sister. And can she just go to Walmart and get back into her car without somebody saying something to her? And you spent so much of your life energy just trying to hold it together.
And isn't that the problem right there? You spent so much of your life energy trying to hold it together during Trump. Well, there's your problem. You put too much of your life energy into something you have no control over.
And that's why your immune system's down. And that's why COVID's a pandemic.
That's right.
That's logic.
There you go. And if COVID is a pandemic, doesn't that mean
rabbit holes?
Yeah. Oh, that's Van Jones, by the way. He's a crier.
I didn't know if that was just a random person upset about the booths being gone from El Dorado.
Well, you know, I used to love those booths, and I would go in there, and the booths were soft, and now the chairs are hard,
and they hurt my bum.
Oh man! And now we need somebody to come in and go, Mexican food is evil. You should eat Italian food.
Oh yeah. Your food is wrong. If you like that food, you're stupid.
Ambrosia. That's all we need. Ambrosia. The Greek gods say.
It's getting ridiculous. The personal nature of this, and some of it, you know, it's easy for me to kind of laugh at it. Like, okay, nut jobs, all y'all just calm down. That's left nut jobs, right nut jobs. Everybody calm down. But
left nuts, right nuts.
Yes, left nuts. Well, I've got kids in my class who are like genuinely terrified
and stressed, like
very nervous. You know, I had a kid. He was telling me, he goes, "I know I can't have a pocket knife at school, but anytime I go anywhere else, I feel like I have to have one because you just never know what's going to happen." And I'm just like, okay, this is, I don't know. And a lot of the talk I'm hearing from these kids, I call it Sunday dinner talk.
Yeah.
Like, it sounds like stuff that I've heard at the table. Extremist on either side, just like casual. It's coming from their families.
Sure.
And a lot of those, I'll hear buzzwords from news channels, like the exact same phrasing. Right. And that's getting telephone gamed throughout, you know, and ends up with a teenager come and ask me my opinion about it.
Sure.
And I'm trying to stay as objective as possible, which is a phenomenally rare thing these days. You cannot be objective anymore.
Teachers are told constantly, especially social studies teachers, you have to be objective. You can't ever express an opinion. And it's impossible if you're a social studies teacher.
I know. I'm struggling real hard right now. But I think I'm doing a decent job. Like, I don't think any of them know who I voted for.
Well, I usually, if I had to express a personal opinion about an election situation, I would always say, now, this is my personal belief.
Doesn't mean I am trying to sway you to share that.
I don't want you to have it unless you feel like you need to, but this is what I think. And I always had to do that. And I was always terrified though. They'd go home and say, Mr. Long is, he's crazy. He thinks that, whoever Joe Blow is wrong for the country.
Yeah.
And no, it's opinion. And that's part of the problem. We've got so many people that are so locked into the idea that their opinion is in fact.
It is in their head.
Yeah. And it's not opinion anymore. It's become real for them. Like it's concrete, and it shouldn't be concrete. Politics for the average American should still be pretty abstract, because unless you're a really wealthy individual with a lot of power, the crap that goes on in Washington, D.C., you have no control over. None.
So what is the point of being like super passionate about it?
Yeah.
Or accusing one side of cheating or any of that stuff. That's not how it needs to go.
No. And you're worried about socialism. Well, look, if young people continue going the way they're going, it's going to happen anyway.
Yeah, we're getting more that way. We're going to get like a lot of these, and we're not going to go like third world socialism. We're going to go like Scandinavia or something like that.
Right. It'll be a quasi system. It'll just be more of what we already have.
Yeah, I don't know if those people over there is like, oh, this country sucks. We got like dictators. They're trying to. I don't think that's
Well, you know
not
what? When I went to
we're heading
Europe,
toward.
everybody seemed pretty happy.
They all seem very happy.
And
I even said that
COVID, but
yeah, I even said that to somebody. I was like, man, if we end up having Civil War Part 2 because of all this, I said I'm moving to Ireland, and someone's like, hope you like paying 60% taxes. I was like,
to get their services, yeah,
everyone's
I'd pay 60%.
happy. Yeah, I mean, it seems like a great place. Whatever.
When we went to Germany, the first thing I noticed, and this is coming from a place that should be clean. I have an issue about littering. This is one of my biggest pet peeves of all things, living here in the heel of the boot, out in God's country, and it's beautiful most of the time when the trees aren't broken. The trash, and I'm not talking about leaves and limbs
Like actual
and metal
garbage.
I'm talking about cups and McDonald's. Look, Longville and Ragley, unless I'm missing something, have no McDonald's, no Burger King, and no place to buy beer.
I know. That's all you see in the ditches.
All of that is in my ditches constantly. The other day, and I said this actually, I got a cup out of the ditch. It was from a convenience chain called Quick Trip. They don't have those in Louisiana. Somebody drove hundreds of miles to then get a cup and bring it to my ditch.
This is the worst trade deal ever. I don't want imported trash in my yard. And people now, they're calling out each other for being pansies based on the type of trash that is left out. Like, if you're going to drink these sissy beers,
the truly post.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Michelob Ultra is obviously the manly one, but no, whatever. Come on now. If you got to define your masculinity based on what you drink, that's a shame.
Here's the thing. If you're going to drink Trulies, it's a seltzer. Yeah. And you can call it a sissy drink, but you know how you man that drink up? Put tequila in it. There you go.
You add some spirits to it, and that's going to put some hair on your chest.
And if you really want to be bold, mix up those spirits. Go ahead. A little tequila, a little whiskey, a little gin.
You have an accidental Long Island iced tea.
That's what could, you know what? That's how we bring everyone together. We get the tequila. That's the Latinos. We get the Jim Beam. That's the South.
Yep.
All right. We get the gin. That's the British.
Oh, yes.
The
beef eater. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The vodka. Well, that's the Russians. And
there's a lot of Eastern Europeans.
Yeah. I think we might be onto something here. And then we get
this
everybody
is unity,
together.
the unity we need.
The unity of liquor. Yeah. And then we can all top it off with a round of sports betting.
Yes. Because Louisiana has now legalized it.
Well,
this parish, very barely.
Yeah, I didn't ever look to see how close this was.
52-48 is what it ended up being.
Really?
But it was losing like right down to the last little bit.
Like,
you remember
it was down. They shut down poker. They shut down video poker. So is that what people are saying here? That it's okay to gamble in your own home, then go to a place that has video poker machines and play video poker?
Pretty much.
Okay.
They don't want you to, like, you can drink at your own house, but you're not going to buy liquor here.
Well, that's my question.
Somewhere else.
I still don't understand that mindset of giving up that tax revenue.
In order to understand that mindset, you'll probably need to rewind back to about, I don't know, the 1880s through the early 1920s. That's the mindset.
Yeah.
We're back in the old fundamentalist / prohibition age. This is what we got. We think that if you make that law, it's going to make our people better.
Yeah, I guess so. From what I understand, that run, though, before all the prohibition stuff came in, the 190, where 190 is now on Highway 12 that runs through DeQuincy on Texas, apparently at one time that was a lively stretch of road with lots of liquor establishments and music places. But this is way back, again, 1920s. And same thing for Highway 90 in Lake Charles. It was like that as well. And lively. And but yeah, now it's don't have any fun.
There's no soul.
When we fact check.
Sorry.
There's soul.
I stand corrected. There is apparently soul.
Trust me, the fact checkers know.
Yeah.
The idea that we couldn't get beer here. We moved here. I didn't know. I had no idea that this parish was dry.
It seems like that shouldn't be able to exist
forever.
now.
I just didn't even know. And one day we got settled in. We moved here. We got settled in. Got our trailer on the land.
There you go.
And I said, well, that was hard work. I'm going to go buy some beer. And my father goes, where are you going to go buy it? Well, I'm going to go to DeRitter. He goes, no, you're not.
See, at least nowadays they pass that.
Yeah,
at least now they have liquor stores in DeRitter.
So, well, where am I going to have to go? He goes, you're going to have to go to Gillis. Gillis? You mean I have to actually get in my car and drive 20 miles to get liquor?
What is the world coming to?
Thank goodness people are protecting our parish from the scourge of a 20-mile drive.
Yeah, all they're doing is like throwing money away.
That's the way I see it. Out the window as they drive, just flinging. By the way, if you feel like littering, may I suggest throwing dollar bills into my ditch?
Some currency.
Currency would be okay. In fact, I won't complain about littering if it's currency.
Yeah, I can handle that.
Yeah. Are you hoarding toilet paper?
I'm not.
You need to.
Oh, damn.
Oh, yeah. It's the preppers, man. They're getting crazy.
Well, that's because we got the Democrats in charge. They're gonna get rid of all paper. They're gonna get rid of all oil instantly.
Oh, they're gonna shut down every refinery in America
now,
right now, this moment,
because that would help the country.
Yep. As if.
Come on now.
Come on.
Look
at it this way though, too. Look, this is the crazy part. Let's say the Democrats wave a magic wand and start gradually pinching the oil and gas industry. That will pinch the supply, right?
Yeah.
What happens to the price when that happens?
It goes up.
And then what happens to jobs if the price of oil and gas go up?
I have no idea.
More jobs. Because
they're all talking about how bad it's going to be because the prices are going to go back up.
But when you have the prices go up, the layoffs stop.
Yeah, because right now, what we've been experiencing this year was that there were a lot of layoffs. So we were all freaking out because the gas prices are too low. So we were praying for the oil and gas companies. And now we think they're all going to get shut down when, in fact, if they do start putting a squeeze on them, prices are going to go up.
So the jobs will increase.
Yeah. But
wait a minute. Hang on a second.
Well, he said he's going to get rid of it. Okay. Kennedy said we're going to put a man on the moon. He didn't do it right as soon as he came in. This is a plan. It's a drawn out plan. And people have been talking about, it's not, putting motor oil in your car is not going to go away. It's not going to be, but there is a finite amount. This is just the argument I'm hearing from other sides. Like there's a finite amount of stuff and you don't want to just like run out of it. So they're not going to do it without a backup plan. We're not going to go back to horse and buggies. We're not going to do that.
Right. Well, here's my thing, and I've said this before. Okay, California, they're always the ones bitching the most about green energy.
Yeah.
How many tidal generators do they have off the coast of California? I'll tell you, 0. And if there was one place, tides never stop.
No.
Tidal generators can be made. Why aren't there just hundreds of these off the coast of California? I'll tell you why. Because they don't want them because they think they're an eyesore.
Make them pretty. Paint them.
Well, okay, so we can't have that. We can't have small, efficient nuclear reactors because the environmentalists lose their mind. Everybody wants the sun and wind to
Wind
be our
kills
powers.
birds.
You can't do it. It doesn't produce enough energy. It can't be done.
It's not a viable replacement.
No,
unless we can make like the most efficient generators ever. We don't have that yet, so we can't do that.
Well, we can. We can make really clean energy. It requires nuclear power. The new nuclear reactors do not produce the pollution that the old ones did.
Yeah,
but
everyone thinks Chernobyl's going to be right next door if we do that.
And well, that's the thing. Unlike Fukushima or whatever the Japanese one, let's not build on a fault line.
Yep, that would be dumb.
And let's not build it next to the ocean.
That would be dumb.
That would be stupid. Louisiana is alluvial. There's not going to be an earthquake here that's going to bring down a nuclear reactor. Hurricanes, well, buildings can be built to withstand hurricanes, even category 5s.
Yeah.
And build it round won't be a problem.
Yeah, the wind's not going to get you.
And so I'm tired of all the complaining about, we need more green energy. And the whole world is doing it. And mark my words, keep listening for the whole Great Reset. We're going to come back to this topic in a future podcast when I get some more information. The Great Reset is this idea that we will use COVID as an opportunity. And the whole idea is they're looking at greenhouse gas emissions since we all got shut down in March. And lo and behold, greenhouse gas emissions went down
dramatically.
All over the world. People said, look at this. We can do it.
Well, yeah, if you don't do anything.
At the cost of our economy.
Yeah, cavemen didn't have greenhouse emissions.
And so, yeah, we did it. Okay, we lowered the greenhouse gases, but we shut everybody down. People lost their livelihoods. People lost their businesses. People lost all kinds of stuff. And that's not doable in the long term. We are not meant to live in our little boxes without any freedom whatsoever.
Yeah.
And that's to me what the shutdown is. It took away people's livelihood. You build a business and the man comes in and says, you have to close. Well, I'm a big believer in the market of risk. Everybody takes risks. And you say, well, it's a virus. It's different. No, it's not. It's the same. First of all, it's a virus that only kills a small percentage of the people who get it. And I'm sorry if you get it and die. And hey, I could be one of those too, by the way. And I'll take the risk. And open up the bars, open up the restaurants. Let's go back to what and of course, right now there's people that would say, you're just wanting people to get sick. I don't want anybody to get sick, but I don't want our economy to die either. And I got news for you. Our debt, the debt of this nation is going to be what destroys our nation, not socialism.
Yeah.
Not Joe Biden, not Donald Trump. It'll be debt. And we can't just keep printing money. We can't do it. And so I'm ready to go back to normal everything. I want to go back to school. I want to teach normally. Kids need face-to-face interaction with teachers.
Mm-hmm.
Zoom teaching is nonsense.
No, it sucked.
And it's ridiculous. And often, on and off again, that sucks too. Because kids still miss school.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Yep.
And so, what are we doing to our society? And now Biden's coming in and he's talking about shutting things down big time. Again, at what cost? People are losing my worry is that that's the point. They want to do this, that they want people to not have the independence of private ownership of business. Because you can bet Walmart didn't get hurt by any of this COVID nonsense. Amazon certainly hasn't been hurt by it.
No, they did a lot better probably.
Technology companies are doing great. So all the big people are doing fine. In fact, they're doing better than fine. But the guy who opened up a restaurant 3 years ago who had to shut it down, or a bar had to shut it down, now he can't feed his family with his own hands. He's got to ask for the government for a handout. Not to mention what's happened here because of the hurricanes. It is really just crazy. And people are worried about what's happening in Washington.
Yeah, that's dramatic crap. That it's always dramatic. It's so weird because I'm not very old, I guess you would say. The earliest presidential election I can remember with any sort of anything, I was only 5. It was 1992.
Wow.
And I remember my brother, who was 8 at the time, praying that Bill Clinton didn't get elected. I remember that. We were saying our prayers, and he did that. And I remember people talking about how around here, Bill Clinton is the worst president we've ever had. And by far, Ronald Reagan was the best president we've ever had. And then W came in. Some people around here were even talking about how he was the best president we ever had.
Wow.
Not a lot of people. Some. When Obama came back, he is the worst president we ever had. The other side said he's the best president we've ever had. Donald Trump is the best president we have ever had. The other side says he's the worst we've ever had.
Yeah.
Okay. Come on.
Stop it.
Seriously.
Just stop it.
Like all of them have been doing that. And Here's the thing with Donald Trump. He is the only one I've ever heard of who is the best president we've ever had, who still to this day has not actually won the popular vote.
Ever.
Well, of course, now there's litigation to say that, all those votes for Joe Biden were all fake.
Yeah.
So he might, there's still a shred of hope.
Well, I'll tell you what all this animosity between the two sides breeds, too, because it became very clear when George Bush Jr. and Al Gore were running for president, and we had all that mess. That was that first election mess with the hanging chads in Florida.
I think they need to recount the votes.
Yeah. He's still saying that.
Recount the votes.
But what happened was, because of all that mess, Bush wasn't able to put together a good transition squad. Normally, in the past, before all of this nonsense that we live with today, when one president would leave, it didn't matter what party it was, the other president coming in, they would have people that would get together and they would do the transition. They would work on the transition together.
For months.
And it didn't matter what party you belonged to, because it was for the good of the nation.
That is why we work.
That didn't happen when Bush beat Gore, or when the Supreme Court said Bush beat Gore.
Yeah.
That didn't happen. So what that meant was our national security teams didn't have transition teams happening. And you recall what happened 9 months after George Bush Jr. took office.
Yes.
Yeah, 9/11.
We weren't ready.
We weren't ready. We didn't see it coming fast enough because there was all this nonsense going on in between the election, because both sides didn't prepare. The Clintons were like, well, Gore won, so they didn't do it. Bush said, I won, so they didn't do it. So nobody was working together. And that's the way it's been ever since. The transition should be smooth. The Obamas did not have a transition team to work with the Trump team. They didn't like each other. And Trump was antagonistic towards Obama, and Obama was antagonistic towards Trump. So again,
run in the first place.
So Trump comes in, and you remember the chaos of the first 8 months of Trump. Firing cabinet officials, hiring cabinet officials.
He had a revolving cabinet door.
Yeah, you're fired.
You fired.
That's why, because he didn't have the ability to work through the system. Now, a lot of people would say that's a good thing, because we hired Trump to clean out the crap in Washington.
Drain the swamp.
Well, I got news for you. No president can clean out the swamp in Washington. It's too big.
It is a swamp.
It's the whole world. It's a swamp of people who are locked into their offices. They don't care what party is in charge because they are bureaucrats.
Yeah, they're set.
They're set. They're just cogs in the giant machine.
Yeah, Trump didn't fix it, and Biden's not going to fix it. No, they're not going to fix it.
No, there's a certain level he can deal with, but once you get below that level, he has no control. He's not firing Bob in the CIA building somewhere, working 5 floors below ground.
Yeah, not every bureaucrat is a cabinet member. Yeah,
most bureaucrats are simply just workers. They're just doing their job, whatever their job is. They could care less who's in charge.
Yeah.
It's a mess. And well, you know what? What we really need now at this point, I think, is a dictator. That's it.
Go for it.
A dictator. Maybe we could get that. Yeah, let's do it. Actually, you know what I think too? Like, I'm noticing Republicans are bailing on Trump fast now.
Not around here.
No, not around here. I'm just talking about like Republican politicians.
Yeah.
That supported him fully during the time.
Oh yeah. Now they're like, okay, it's time for a concession speech.
Rats swimming away from the sinking ship, so to speak.
Yeah.
And it's really kind of amusing. It shows you what a politician really is, which is a person who's loyal to themselves. That's really what a politician is. If you think Biden's a good guy, remember he's been a politician his entire life, pretty much. He's been a politician longer than not.
Yeah.
And if you think that makes him clean, well, I got news for you. You can think that all you want.
That's usually not how it works.
Trump was a real estate magnate in New York City.
Yeah, but he was a man of the people.
Yeah, sure. Because
there's only so far you can get if you're an actual man of the people.
That's right.
There's only so far. You might be able to be a state representative. That's probably about it.
If you want to be in charge, the president, or of anything for that matter, you've got to be willing to crush people now. If you're talking about that level,
yeah,
you've got to be willing to crush people. Anybody who's ever been president in the last 5 presidents had the ability to crush people, to ruin their lives. And there's no difference with this one. He's no different. I just don't think that I don't think people need to get wrapped up in about the national politics so much. I liked our little local elections. Congratulations, Doug Evie, by the way, and we'll see what happens with the runoff for Justice of the Peace.
Mm-hmm.
And Doug Evie actually, you know what? I'm gonna give him this credit. Nobody worked harder and dealt with the people more that have ever run for that office.
Yeah.
I mean,
he did what he had to do.
Well, they talk about grassroots. That's perfect example of grassroots politicking right there.
Yeah, and he did that before he was running for office.
He did.
He's always been like that.
Yeah,
so I don't even think it was a political move. He's just that's what he is.
It's and well, again,
hats off to him.
Yeah, absolutely. If I had a hat on, I'd take it off.
Yeah, me too. Proverbial hat.
But if I had a hat on, then of course I couldn't have my headphones on.
Yeah, that wouldn't fit right.
And so what you got going on the rest of the week?
Man, we'll see what goes on with this school week. It's another one of those kind of janky ones. We took off for the election day. We got Veterans Day on Wednesdays. That's going to shake things up a little bit. But the kids are ready for something to be normal. They're playing football games. They're doing whatever there is a pending.
Oh, don't get me started about football games.
Proposed homecoming.
We have to protect ourselves from COVID, but you got these guys out there jumping around and hitting each other hard. It's like, no singing. Don't sing.
Yeah. And most of the people, I keep hearing a lot of people like, the worst thing about all this is I can't go watch my kid play football. The ones who were saying that, I've seen them at the football games. But we appreciate the sentiment that, it's cutting crowds down and whatever. There just needs to be ways that, get back to normal. And you know what? Some of the stuff we can keep, be less gross to each other. We don't need, that's one thing about bars. They're gross. There's a lot of grossness that happens. Oh yeah, I'm getting. But
I want the ability to go if I want.
I know. I want to be able to go into a bar.
I want to be able to decide not to go to a bar.
Yeah, I tell you who they need to follow. The reason I was gone for the last podcast, I was in the magical world, the realm of Disney. There were people everywhere, and I have not heard of any sort of a spike, anything.
Yeah,
that was probably the cleanest place in the country.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And you know what? I was distracted by magic, so I had a mask on for like 11 hours at a stretch. Didn't bother me until I had the opposite of a baseball coach tan, where around my eyes were darker and the bottom part of my face was whiter.
I've seen like 4 or 5 people that have horrible like heat rash around their mouth.
Yeah, and we went. It was kind of temporary. I would not want to go do that in August.
Well, that's one of my complaints about masks for me personally, and that
excess moisture and heat is getting trapped.
Oh, it's horrible, and I can't breathe very well through the masks. I really can't. First of all, I can barely breathe through my nose most of the time anyway, and
but with your mask, you can be a mouth breather and nobody knows. That's freedom.
Well, here's what I don't like about masks. I can't read a person's face.
There's a lot of stuff that you take for granted.
And I want to be able to features. I want to be able to see people's faces because that's a big part of our communication skills.
Yeah, you can only say so much with the eyes.
Yeah. And so I don't know. I just think that it's not good. I think it stresses people out. And I thought it was weird the other day. I went to Walmart. It's been the first time in DeRidder. First time I've been to Walmart in ages. The time I went, and there was a lady at the door, and as I'm walking in, I have a mask and it hangs on a ribbon around my neck. I can put it on if I need to, but nobody was wearing masks, right?
No.
She goes, "Sir, you need to put your mask on." And 3 people walked by me without masks. Yeah. And she specifically came at me. I'm like, well, none of those people were wearing masks. She goes, "I am just doing my job." And you're doing it very well. Thank you.
Yes, we appreciate it.
And I'm not going to wear my mask, and I'm going to go in the store now.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
But and that's what they do stuff like this. We're trying to
so when I came out, she saw me, and somebody was walking in that had a mask on, and she very loudly goes, "Thank you, ma'am, for wearing your mask," and looks right at me.
She got you.
And I was just like, yeah, ouch. Oh, man, I feel terrible.
Yeah.
And then I went and got my car and came home.
But that's what they do at school. Like all these things keep happening. But they say you're supposed to have a mask on in transition. Like in the hallways, you have your mask on.
Yeah, in transition.
But in the classroom, they put it on us. It's the teacher's discretion.
Well, they always do that.
So now I've got to do crap like that. If it was just like a school-wide thing, it wouldn't be a big deal. But like, again, my wife's got over 30 kids in all of her classes. And it's like stuffy and gross.
And they put that on teachers. It's just like attendance. I don't know when it happened, But there came a point where suddenly it was when kids didn't show up for school anymore, it was the teacher's job to make them come to school.
Yeah, you got to find out where they are. Go track them down. It's like, man, I don't care. I mean, I would rather them be here, but
They need to be here.
I'm not going to go hunt them down. It's like the law. My job is not a law enforcer.
And whose job is it to get kids to school? I'm pretty sure it's the parent.
Yeah.
I hope. The I'm sorry. No. The stakeholder.
The stakeholder.
Yeah, that's when it changed, I guess, right?
Based on the last podcast, it sounds like a vampire killer now.
It does. By the way, if you didn't listen to the last podcast and you're catching this podcast, you should go back and listen to the last podcast called Dracula Goes to the Movies. It has some very interesting stuff in it.
I enjoy it. It was cool to be on that end of the podcast. Get to be a little fanboy. It's like, man, this is great.
I'm gonna bring Lyndon, or Vlad, as I know him. I'm gonna bring him back one day, and we'll just talk about movies in general because he knows a lot about cinema and theater, and he's just a really interesting guy in history, for that matter. We could have a medieval discussion.
Yeah,
and he's just and a Lake Charles native, for that matter.
Seems like an interesting chap.
He is a very interesting chap, and we're all getting longer in the tooth, so why not? Anyway, I don't have much else to add, really. I think we've ranted enough.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
And I think we were fairly mild about it. We can appreciate the memeage.
Wait, is there a crying youth?
No.
And this is a big deal for us just to be able to get some peace and have a chance for a reset. And the character of the country matters. And being a good man matters. I just want my sons to look at this. Look at this. It's easy to do it the cheap way and get away with stuff, but it comes back around. It comes back around, and this is a good day for this country. I'm sorry for the people who lost. For them, it's not a good day, but for a whole lot of people, it's a good day. Gloria?
I don't even know what to say about that. That was all Van Jones. Again, CNN correspondent, journalist, supposedly, Van Jones. Yeah, he was pretty broke up. I don't know, man. Now I do, in all fairness, and I guess I should be fair, if nothing else. Let me see. I do have an angry Trump person from the election too. Let me see if I can find him. He's not crying.
It's not actually Trump himself.
No, it's not Trump.
He seems to be the angriest one at all.
It's one of the biggest Trump supporters. And this was his reaction when he heard that Biden had won the election.
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
So, anyway, I guess that's going to wrap it up for the Long in the Boot podcast this week. Habz, thanks for coming in and joining me.
Always a pleasure.
And we'll come up with a topic. We need a topic.
Yeah, this was our first topicless one.
Yeah, it's a potpourri.
Potpourri. Good way to say we didn't feel like making an outline.
Yeah, pretty much. I actually wrote some things down.
I never have anything written down, which is also probably why I don't talk nearly as much as you, because I'm not ever prepared.
I wrote, what's up, Habz?
Oh,
then I wrote hurricane, then COVID, general stuff, election, anger, crying, crazy, great reset.
Perfect.
See, it's an outline.
That's a winning show.
Well, Habz has been fun. We'll catch everybody on the other side of whatever this is. And hope y'all have a good day, good week, and all that good stuff. And I don't know what day this is going out, but the day it does, you'll know it.
Yep.
And I'll tell you about it maybe the day before that. But anyway, so we're going to be out of here. Don't forget, longintheboot@gmail.com, or the phone number if you want to chastise us for not having a real topic, 337-502-9011. Say goodbye, Habz.
Keep calm and carry on, folks.
Take care, folks.